I think we have a lot of technology, but most of the time the visible part of the iceberg, it's a bit left behind, and I want to tell you a bit where it starts from myself. So I think that a couple of years ago, actually a lot, almost 15 years ago, I started as a kid playing around with HTML, if you remember, not the HTML5, like a really, really old one. And I was a fan of Lord of the Rings games. I don't know if any of you play about it. Actually, I did. It was really cool. And I started to start building interfaces like very old way, and I took some screenshot of the game, putting together and make a beautiful website. Beautiful website. And I even asked actually AA Games to give me the right to display the image, but they ghost me, so I never got the right to do it, and I did it anyway. But then during my past career, I really built softwares again and again, and I kind of see a bit how it evolved during times. That brings me to these 2 past years at Cycle, where we build very high-quality software and interfaces. We really want to make the best-in-class tools. That's a very deep conviction we have. So I will cover a little bit what we learn, like we are confronted to talk with a lot of product folk in the industry. We have a guide, I would say, like we gather everything in one manifesto, product guideline, and I will cover some of them of my favorites and what I think is useful to enhance the productivity of a front-end team in a team. I will, in the meantime, invite you, if you want to scan the QR code, to join the event because it will be a bit interactive. I will ask you some questions, so I will leave you a couple of seconds to just connect. Basically, you can just, put your name, and then we move on. So I see there's already like a couple of persons, so I will leave you a couple of more seconds. And let's do it. All right. So I would start with ask you a question. So write on your phone. You can tell me in one word, what do you think about customer obsessed front-end team? What comes to your mind? There is no bad answer. Just, tell me what you feel, and I also need to. Yeah, that's better. So I don't know either, by the way. I don't know who did that. I really like the empathy. I think it's a very core value. Basically, I think it's valid everywhere, but wow, that's getting crazy. But what is in center, it's very nice. It's the customer, right? So it's definitely true, and I think most of you know by instinct already that when you build something, you build it for someone, right? So it makes sense. All right. Okay. I wanted to start that, if you remember about Tony Fadell that presented the iPod a while ago. He started basically internally by just drafting the release, drafting the goal of what he solved before starting working on a product. And the reason, there's a ton of reasons by the way, but the one I want to highlight here is that you should know where you're going. If you don't know it, you build something maybe that will never solve any problem and no one will use it. I mean, it's fine if you do it for yourself, but in a business structure, that doesn't make sense. So what I learned from it is like you start with the metric, the stars that you need to follow, and you go ahead. The way I see it is like if you think about what is a front-end team and what is the purpose of it, is basically to build something, an outcome, that you will put in the hand of your user. Your user have to use it. So if you're getting something and you don't know what to do with it, like the mission of building it doesn't have any sense. So I will try to go through some principle to see how you make sure that when you build something, you will reach the goal. Any front end in the room? I want to know, like, you can raise your hand and you can also put on the phone. You will see it here, and I also need to put it again to see the result in life. Let's see if there are more front end than not, actually. I like that. It's almost more. Hey, you can lie. I would love to see a bit more front end in the room. Okay, really? Okay, it's normal. There are a lot of tech people that are not doing front end. It's okay. But For the 17% that are front-end, I will really be happy to know your point of view about the talk. Um, Basically, the first principle, which is the first one on our product manifesto, is basically ships what people need. It's again very obvious. Um, you really have to understand if the feature that you are doing will really serve something. And I want to highlight that with one example here by Apple. I'm staying the same scope. I don't know if you use that feature from Apple where on your iPhone you can set up the bedtime when you want to stop using your phone and just go to sleep, increase your health and stop being absorbed by the screen. I actually tried that. And what's happened is you get that notification each day at the same time saying, all right, let's go to bed. What's happened with myself basically is that I get it since I get a ton of other notification and I just discard it without even reading it. So does that feature really help me to go to the bed? Definitely not, right? And that's the case for so many features, even Apple does. I hope there is no Apple developer working on that, by the way, here. But Grows.design is a very solid team that I really recommend you to go and read about it. They kind of propose different approach. This one makes a lot of sense. Kind of understand the needs, why you need that feature, and try to understand what's the context where the user got into that experience, and does that really bring the user to the point that it should go? So in that case, you will start to be more intrusive, putting these notification not as a notification banner, but a whole screen with a slider. That's one of, I think it's a very good approach and might work to be tested, actually. If you take one step back and you understand how a customer will be happy about your product and will probably use it at some point, you need to remember who we are as a human and how we work internally with emotions, right? We all have these kind of chemical, the feel-good chemical that we have in our brain, the dopamine that is, it's coming from a lot of things. That's why, for example, you will choose one specific product rather than another, because you have emotion coming up. This is the thing that you need to keep in mind so that you will be more happy about using a customer. And bottom line, actually, happy customer make happy business. It's as simple as that. The way that we go to the opposite, where as a developer you need to make sure your customer will be happy, you also need to be happy. Because basically it will reflect the work in the result, and that's the other very good, actually, quote that I want to highlight today is, ship stuff only if you're proud enough to put your name on it. Most of the time, if you don't believe yourself into what you're doing, don't even try. If you expect some result, it won't happen. What you're building as a front-end developer can be seen a little bit as a conversation, like a language. When I need to check my friend on Facebook, for old people like me, you basically need to go to a database and get that information. Or if you want an email or information about someone, you need to go to that. But who wants to talk, and if you remember that I talked about ASCII, you don't want to communicate in ASCII or in binary. You want something, a layer much easier, to converse. Hey, can you just give me that information? So that interface that you're building is the way you communicate with your goal. So that would you listen to someone that is boring, or listen to someone that basically give you the information which is not the one that you ask, basically? Or if disrespectful? Probably no. We tend to being proud about what we are doing, and I want to share a little bit about our work just to highlight the fact that we are really proud of what we design and what we ship. We want our user and ourselves, we are our first user actually, to be really happy when we use it. So every details is very important. The whole experience is important. If you were in design before being in front-end, for example, that's very common. You will be very sensitive to the animation, the layers. And nowadays, there's a ton of beautiful artists online that make amazing interface. So let's try to enhance now the power of engineer in order to reach that. It's very obvious for everyone. I will not teach you anything here, basically. we are not just code monkey, right? We love coding, it's very cool. But we have opinion. We are using interfaces. We know what is good, what is not. We know when something is not working. I need to maybe use something and I do too many steps and I'm frustrated because this takes a while and I need to do that step maybe 50 times a day and it's not good. So you have skills as a front-end to be way further than front-end, than the code itself. To shape properly the product, you can just bring much more things, only if your organization, your company, allows you to do it. And there are a couple of stuff that we learn and we try to apply, and we also iterate on it every day, that works very well for us to basically shape very good product very fast, and to at the end of the day, after a month, we ship like a ton of new things that are hopefully solving problem of people. The first way to break that is to just destroy all the silos in the team. The good example we have, I will try to give you one that I liked, is that's a part of our apps where basically you have at the top some tabs, it's very common. And we start getting a lot of complaint for customers because when you have thousands of tabs there, you need to scroll horizontally. It doesn't help anyone to find the information. So we start getting that information, and of course, at Cycle, what we do is that breaking the silo means all of that information of all the customers, everyone has access to it. So all the developer teams, they know there are people, they're complaining, they're struggling using the tools that they built. So they're almost personally affected. They say, shit, I did that? No. They will personally think, that's not good, I need to fix that. I need to make that user happy again. How can I do that? So what's happened is you have a ton of literature about what is agile, not agile. You pass through the whole product process to say, okay, this is a problem that we need to tackle. We need to gather all the team. Let's take a meeting room, have a call. We don't do that. What we do is just drop a message on Slack. Hey, guys, I think we have a problem. Those customers that they're just complaining about stuff, we think about maybe we can, this is a suggestion. Let's try something else. And then all the team, I don't know if it's clear on the screen, you have more than 50 answers for all the team, very transparently across all silos and department, designers, marketing, whatever team you are, you're that will be better. Let's try this. And after a couple of even hours, very fast, we arrive to a solution, we develop it, we ship in the production, and we ask again the customers. We hand up, if it works, oh God, wow. We hand it up, arriving like this. I will not start explaining all the context, but we turn the tab into breadcrumbs. So it was more easy, people just over and then search, type for the view and getting very quickly without starting to do all of that. And all the customers that were complaining, we came back to them and say, hey, can you try that version again? And we got so many positive feedbacks. And that was done in 3 days. Not starting to go through all the process, just very fast to the point. What we are doing, we are solving the problem of the user very fast. That's a very good example of work for us. We do the same thing for customer support. So we believe that since we need to be close to the customers as a developer, as a front end, to understand more what they need, we are offering these premium support by basically we are using Slack, so we are using shared channel connected with the customers. And they're just happy to drop any message on that, hey, I have this suggestion, this problem, etc., etc. So when you have a problem, the developer can see it. Of course, you will have all the productivity thinking about but if you get pinged every 5 seconds to a new bug, you won't be able to work, right? That's a different problematic. At least the information is transparently accessible. So we have exactly the same thing where customers say, hey, I don't know, you have these schema over there, and I don't see this. And basically, it was a bug. It was not supposed to be like that. It's very detailed, by the way. It's the specific black part should be white, as specific as that. But then the customer didn't understand it and say, hey, that should not be like that. All right? I think it was happening in less than 3 minutes, by the way. The developers see it, fix it, deploy it. Really 3 minutes. because he had time at that moment, He's adult. He knows how to prioritize his time. He maybe finish a big task and then he just see that as, oh yeah, I know how to fix it. Just do it. 3 minutes was the time for us to fix that and to make that customer happy, because 3 minutes after, we just send a message, say, hey, we fix it. Great team. So that is the reward we have by just going very fast and breaking the silo and putting all the information in front of everyone. What would you prioritize? So you can again watch your phone and we'll show again better. What would you prioritize, for example, if you have to decide? It's like valid thing, right? You have to, if you make a prioritization on one thing, you will probably not focus on something else. So you need to sacrifice something each time. You know it because companies have schedules, they have goals, they have, whatever resources problem. So you need to make decision. So I will check a little bit what you think, guys. So quality apparently is the most important thing for you, right? It's exactly what we think as well. You can always ship less. Always reduce scope to reach what you need in the time you need with the resources you have, but never, ever compromise quality. And what I can add on top of that is that, of course, never remove quality, but according to your goal, right? To your problem solving that you discovered earlier. When you have a normal process, I would say, or like old school process that we would like to call, is that you will have people, mostly product manager or like strategic people, that will kind of analyze a little bit everything and say, we need to focus on that specific area or that specific area. And they will need, we need to prioritize that. We cannot just do everything. So the way they do it is say, okay, can you estimate that? Like how many time you need for that feature? So that will kind of analyze the cost, the outcome, and then again, you can use RISE or whatever pattern you have. There is a ton on the market. Like just pick one if you'd like. But at the end of the day, estimation is like so subjective. And I like this metaphor saying that how much time would you need to find a blue rock in the ocean? I can tell you there is at least one somewhere in the world. But how much do you need to find it? It's possible. But it will be the first thing you will see when you just go in the beach, or you will need years before finding it, or maybe never. How do you know it? Sometimes that's happened. So when you ask someone to estimate, sometimes it's very hard, sometimes it's easy. That depends on so many factors, based on if, people already made that specific work, but if you want to be an innovative startup or company, most of the time you try to do things that you never did before. In that case, it's getting more and more complex to estimate, so that more and more complex to prioritize. So we don't do it. Sorry, I don't know why it's getting so fast. All right. What I also will emphasize on that specific step now is more the whole things you have in the team. Don't forget to enjoy. And what I mean by that is that people are doing things more efficiently if they're happy to do it. And we are back on the same thing I just said before, right? There are a ton of resources, literature about different framework. Actually, I like the one from Nicole, which explained a bit the space. You probably know about it. Some talk ago, we will talk about it, Dora metrics and everything. I will say that's very useful, but in the same way, I like keep it simple and think differently. At the end of the day, if you need to be performant, this is the metaphor I like, is imagine a race with two cars. You have one car that is very powerful, the last car on the market, the best engine. And I'm definitely not good in cars, so I cannot tell you about the specification. But that car is probably driven by someone which is a bit sad or lazy or whatever has happened in his life. He don't push enough on the accelerator, so maybe he's using that car 20% of his capacity. And beside that, you have an old car without all of that very powerful engine and stuff. But the guy behind the wheel, he's the most determined guy ever. He's giving everything 100%, even more than that. Who will win? Probably the old car. That made me think that if you have a team, and that team is not happy, not motivated, and actually, I can tell you by myself, I mean, if I don't want to do a feature, it will take me 3 weeks. And when I'm motivated, I can do that in 2 hours. So it's probably better that I'm getting motivated, right? I mean, I guess that's up to you. So that's my bottom line. I will tell you, make sure that your team is motivated. That's the most important thing in order to have an efficient team to solve all the problems we just see before. And then the last thing I want to emphasize here, which is back to the sources to me. If you remember the iPod example at the beginning, it's like a bit Amazon, right? Amazon is also doing this. Share your release, not your plan. Start with that. But even in the process of the product, that's how we work, and it's very efficient. I will tell you why. The other day, I had to work on a new feature. Actually, I will tell you about this feature just after, so I will try to not spoil you. And what happened is we had one teammate went back for sick leave. And we damn, we were supposed to go further and ship the feature. We need to reduce the scope so we can still ship something the week after. How we decided to do that before. It was a bit a challenge, but we did it. And how? Because we had the release. We know exactly the value we wanted to give to the customer at the end. We know exactly what the customer must be able to do in order to get the value and be happy to use the product. So we scope everything, and we release the first version. And it works very well. That's a little bit how we work. We have, it should actually be animated. I don't know, I'm not sure it's working. You have the release first. The tools doesn't matter, right? You can use the tools that you're comfortable with, but focus on the release. When you are thinking what your user needs to see in order to adopt your product, start with that. And in order to do that properly, you need all the context which is basically your discovery. I'm assuming, of course, that you're doing a proper discovery. So you have all the feedback, the context of the customer. You know why you need to develop that. So you draft it, write aside this so that you can start to, to put the metric that you need to reach, and then after that you can start scoping it. So the best advice I can say, find a way to break all the silos, to make sure that all information are in one specific place, accessible by everyone, in order to make everyone able to take decision how to scope it efficiently and how to ship it in the time frame that you need to ship it. So that's basically the best way that we are able to ship very, very fast our new feature. And then we basically want also to share that a little bit. So we are working on that specific feature, if it can happen. We want to work on a change log, which is basically your release, right? So I was just before telling you about that specific feature that we scoped. And that feature will help us to do it better in the future as well. That's quite fun. That will be completely free to use. So if you guys want it on your phone, if you join the event, you will have access to the beta if you'd like. I will be very happy to have your feedback so that the next release I can write, I can just take your feedback also with that. That will be very useful. So that's it for me. You will get everything on the phone if you'd like, and I have some paper actually if you want to get the paper version. I will be happy to discuss that with you. Thank you.